Real people, real stories, and real challenges that break the status quo. I'm your host, Živile, and welcome to Perception Paradox. Hello everyone and welcome back to Perception Paradox. Today is a very special day and special episode. For the ones who don't know, I am from Lithuania, and on March 11th, Lithuania became the first country to break free from the Soviet Union's occupation. After 50 long years of oppression, Lithuania regained its independence in 1990 and joined the European Union as well as the North Atlantic Alliance in 2004. It's been quite a journey, and I think it's very important always to memorize it, to mention it, spread the word, basically, share the wisdom. And yeah, so here we are today, unscripted episode. And I thought that because of this important day, I really wanted to have someone from my home country. And while I was thinking, very last minute, whom can I invite for this March 11th episode? I went to this one event a couple of weeks back at Norrskend in Barcelona. It was happening during the Mobile World Congress, where I was moderating a panel, and then I bumped into this photographer. And she was like, "Hi, I'm Domi." I was like, "Hi, I'm Živile." And she was like, "You're from Lithuania." And we immediately started talking, and apparently her full name is Dominyka. And I meet this cheerful, wonderful lady from Lithuania who was capturing the moments of the event happening at Norrskend, Barcelona. And I thought that why not invite her for this podcast? She has a very inspiring story to share, how to change your life, how to change your career. And I guess let's wait no more. Welcome, Dominyka, to Perception Paradox.
Hi, Živile. My pleasure to be here. I'm very honored to be on this special day for us, for Lithuanians. So happy Independence Day.
Thank you. You too. How are you today?
Good, a bit nervous
Why are you nervous?
to tell my story.
To tell your story, but
Yeah,
I think
imposter syndrome is kicking in and like saying, "Oh, you don't have what to tell." And yesterday I was thinking what I can talk about, and I was like, maybe the story is not that interesting at all. But let's see.
I'm pretty sure it is interesting. Sometimes we just get into that imposter syndrome without need for that. So I met you here in Barcelona. How long have you been here?
Oh, so this month honestly is very special for me because it's my 6th-year anniversary.
6 year, congratulations!
Yes. Big number. The time flew. I cannot believe it's been 6 years. It's been an amazing journey. And also, it's my first year anniversary as a full-time photographer.
Okay.
So I have a lot to celebrate this month.
That's a big celebration. Okay, I have so many questions and I want to dig deeper into that, but maybe let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And yeah.
Okay, so I'm from Lithuania, as we already noticed that. I grew up in a very, very, very small town, which now is like 800 people, I presume, something like that, not even 1,000. So, but I was like living in different countries. I finished my school in this small town. Then I left to study in the capital of Lithuania, in Vilnius. 4 years there. Then Erasmus studies, I was like traveling and so on and so forth. I ended up in Sweden. I don't know how, living there.
Okay.
Well. And travel again, back to Lithuania again. Lived there for a couple more years. And then I ended up in Barcelona in Spain.
Okay, cool. What did you study?
That's another funny story. Nothing related to what I do and nothing related to what I did in my whole life until now. Finished educational studies, so I was supposed to be a teacher in school, which I never did. But life happened, and I obviously in Lithuania, as you know, is like it's not very popular to take the gap year after your school, after the 12th grade.
At least not when we were growing up. For sure.
Yeah. When I was 18, I really didn't have a choice. And my family is not the one who can allow me to do nothing for the whole year and travel around the world. So I didn't have the opportunity to just explore what I want to do. So I had to choose where I want to study because everybody was going to study somewhere. And I chose to be a teacher.
Okay.
Who knows why?
Oh, nice. But I mean,
Yeah, but by that time, I think I was like 18 years old. I think I was like still very young to decide what I really want to be.
we're all very young when we have to make the decisions.
Yeah, and it was like, it happened. Like, no regrets though. I liked what I did in the study years, but obviously that was not something I really wanted to do in my life.
Okay.
education-wise.
And where did you go after you finished studies? What did you work?
Okay, so I never worked as a teacher. I didn't want to because in Lithuania we have this. I didn't just want to work in Lithuania. Then I just decided to go to work in Cyprus for like the season as a bartender, as a waiter. After that, I decided that I want to work in Sweden because of the economy and stuff like that. But I needed to learn the language, so I chose to go to Sweden.
Did you learn the language?
I learned the language.
Amazing. It's not an easy one.
No, it's very complicated. I spent 1.5 years there learning the language. Every day was like a very intensive course to make it happen, and I made it happen. And then I was just about to look for the job in Sweden in Stockholm. But I came back to Lithuania for summer holidays. And a friend of mine who was working in Lithuanian at that time, we were just talking, and he's like, "Oh, so you speak Swedish now?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "How fluent are you?" I was like, I think I'm pretty fluent, but also like I was never very comfortable to say that I'm fluent in any of the languages, and I speak quite a few. But anyways, I was like, "Yeah, I can speak Swedish." And he was like, "Oh, what do you think if you send me your CV, because we are looking for somebody who speaks Swedish in Lithuania?" I didn't even think about working in the office, like in corporate job. But I was like, "Okay, give me a couple of days. I will make my CV and I will send it to you." By that time, I didn't even have like proper clothing to go to the interview in the office in the corporate.
Okay.
Because I was literally not thinking to do that, and I was on holidays. I sent my CV. They called me. I spoke Swedish, and they were looking for somebody who speaks Swedish.
Okay.
And they were paying good money because of the
Language.
of the.
Oh yes.
yes,
I
exactly.
remember these times. All my friends who had extra
Nordics,
language were
especially.
working there.
So I was, I don't know, lucky or unlucky. I was good for the position, and I started to know what is a corporate work and corporate position. So I started to work there. Spent 2 years working as a debt collector.
Okay.
Which has nothing in common with what I really like in life and what I wanted to be and my education. So.
And what do you really like in life?
So now, I know what I like in life, and I like what I do now. It's photography, creative work. And so yeah, but it took me 2 years in Lithuania. I spent working with numbers, which is actually very. It's a thing which has nothing to do with me because I'm like horrible with numbers.
Okay, but I still made it 2 years.
I need calculator for everything. But after those 2 years, I decided that I don't want to live in Lithuania, and I moved to Spain. And again, the easiest way to do the career or to find a way of living was to send CVs to the corporates and look for something similar what I did in Lithuania. And I got another job in the same position, just not Swedish language anymore. It was with English. Okay. And I worked as a debt collector again. Okay, and how many years did you spend working as a debt collector? Okay, so after 2 years in Lithuania, I ended up working 5 years in Spain. Corporate in Spain. And only last year, I realized that this is really not what I want to do with my life. Not the thing I want to do for the rest of my life, at least. Because I already spent like nearly 8 years. 7.5, something like that. Okay. How did that happen? It's not an easy decision. No, not at all. And this is not a story where like you think like, oh, everything happened over one night. I decided. That sounds like that now. So now I'm like, I was a debt collector, and then I was like, oh, I just want to do photography. So I'm quite curious to learn more, and I guess the audience as well. How did photography enter into your world, and how did you get closer to the change? Photography was in my life from very early years. I think I got my first camera when I was like 15 or so. But it was never something serious. It was always like travel pictures, friends, food. I love cooking and things like that. And I kept buying cameras and I kept playing around with it. Never took it too serious. Never thought it's gonna be my full-time job.
Okay.
And yeah, and after like a few years in the office here in Spain, I realized that I'm bored because it was the same task for 4.5 years or something like that.
But you were still doing the photos along the way while you
Yeah, I
were
was
working.
doing photos like since I was 15, more or less,
Okay.
all the time, but not every day. So I was like, I had my camera, but I didn't use it for a month or
Yeah.
so because I didn't get paid for that, and it was my free time. But I also love like hiking and nature and these kind of things. So it was not always like, oh, I have my camera everywhere with me and I'm taking pictures of everything. No, it wasn't like that. And yeah, and then from credit and collections, I decided to change a bit in the office because I was very bored. But also at the same time, this is like probably the best lesson I've learned ever since I started to take photos, and I decided that I want to be a photographer, which also took me so long to be comfortable to say that I am a photographer. Even like saying that I'm a photographer was, well, I can't say that. It's like, I'm not good enough. I just have camera. Like, I'm taking pictures.
That's very interesting. How did that happen? Because I know quite many people who are very creative and they're very good with photos as well. But I constantly keep hearing this kind of bumping into the wall. They are better than me.
Yeah.
Whom am I to call myself a photographer or an artist? And the imposter syndrome is really high because like this whole industry is also a lot about ego in some areas or some verticals.
Yeah, and you're constantly comparing yourself, even though I know it's like, it's the worst thing you can do is compare to other photographers. And I still get like, imposter syndrome is like my second half of me is like, I always have it next to me and like, oh, I'm not good enough to call myself a photographer. And I couldn't. I was like, oh, I'm taking pictures. And friends were like, why are you saying that you're taking pictures? Why are you cannot sell yourself like saying, oh, I'm a professional photographer, I'm taking pictures and they are amazing. And people say, oh, I love your pictures. And I'm like, no, I still believe I'm not like good enough to call myself a professional photographer. So I was constantly fighting with myself, like, oh, I want to take pictures, but I'm not good enough to leave my office job. So I decided to do a little change in the company, change the department. That's the only change I did. It got very comfortable after so many years in the corporate. It got so comfortable, and
it's very hard to make a change.
I knew people, I knew everything. My routine was very simple and it's like, comfortable.
Okay.
And to go from that to a full-time photographer, it's a massive change. I was never freelance in my life.
So you literally quit and then went full time? Or did you land first clients? Because
I was like, I want to do that. But the lesson I learned about what you need to do to make a change. First of all, is start to communicate what you want to do and what you want to be and what you're looking for.
Yes.
So I slowly started to talk to people like, oh, I would like to work with photography more, like on my free time. Obviously, I didn't want to quit my corporate job the same minute I decided to be a photographer. Like, oh, I can do it after work. I can do it before work. I can do it over the weekends. Okay. If I start talking to people, maybe somebody will be like, oh, I know somebody who needs photos. Oh, I know somebody who can help you with this or that. And this is how I started, like slowly. I ended up working for the agency with bars and restaurants here in Barcelona, taking photos on events and photos of food, of drinks, cocktails, best bars in Barcelona. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm already doing this. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So slowly kept talking, kept communicating what I want and where I want to be. But at the same time, what happened, it was like working in the office the full time and also working after quite a lot of hours of editing, quite a lot of hours of taking pictures, traveling, and all these. I ended up like getting very ill, like constantly respiratory problems. So like 2022 is the year where I was like non-stop sick. I couldn't go out of bed at least twice a month, 2 weeks. So half the time I was in bed with runny nose, fever, all kind of respiratory problems, fever again, then something new. And I was like sick and sick and sick. And then I was like, something is wrong. I'm like, something is happening, even though I don't think that I did a massive change. I'm just working a bit extra, and this extra I really love what I do. And the rest is just the same office job. And I was going to doctors, and they were like, "Oh, so your blood test is totally fine. You're doing okay. It's like doesn't show any inflammation, doesn't show any changes. It's like it looks like you're okay. Probably the stress level is like a bit high. Are you stressing about something, or what is going on with your life, with your work life, with your life in general?" I started to think that, yeah, maybe I'm like pushing too much. And after so many years in the office, maybe this is what I really don't like doing, and it's killing most of my time. Like most of the hours I'm spending there doing something which is not what I want to do, and the rest I'm like using my energy leftovers to do what I love to do. And there's not much rest, not much what I like to do. Is like it's more just going through the day. And so yeah, slowly I was thinking what to do and trying to get more clients, and like talking to myself and my friends and my family, like, do you think it's possible? So I become freelance full-time photographer. And Barcelona is the place where it's not an easy decision to make here to be a photographer full-time. And people were, even like when I was still working in the corporate, people were asking when I was taking pictures, "Oh, so you're a full-time photographer, so does it pay your bills? How you're managing to do from throughout the month?" And all those questions make you doubt.
It makes you be scared.
Yeah, and I was terrified to make a decision to quit my corporate job. I was like, so many people ask me if I will be able to make it, and if I'm able to make it. And I was like, but then in the end, I was like, okay, so after so many years in the corporate, I could always get back to it. And I was like, I had to think, what is the worst case scenario if I leave? And knowing that my health was going downhill very quickly. And I was like, that's not good. It doesn't help me to keep doing what I want. I have to quit one thing, either to quit the photography after corporate hours or quit my office job to start to live from the photography. So it wasn't one night's decision. It was like long thinking and debating with myself and talking to my family. And my family supported me really a lot. And I was crying for 3 days on my couch. Literally, I was like, I cannot believe I really want to do it, but like I cannot imagine myself like doing it full time and being successful. But I really want to try.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
So like, okay, what do I do? And I'm crying, and then my sister's like, "Oh, so stop crying. What's the worst case scenario?" Like, "Oh, if I don't get clients, then I will be like, what do I do?" She's like, "What do you do? You find a job. You can't come back to the office." And I'm like, if you fail, you fail, but you keep living. It's like there are solutions. So yeah, so it took me a couple of days to make the decision, and I made it.
Congratulations.
1 year ago.
Oh, congratulations. Very special month. And how long did it take your health to go back when you quit?
This is another really funny story, and I really love telling this to people.
Okay.
I met people in similar situation as I was in 2022, where I was constantly sick. So guess how many times I was sick since last year?
Like one time by accident?
Yes, exactly. Once with the aircon running off.
Yeah.
That's it. And I was sneezing last week, but I don't know why. I mean, maybe some allergies for spring's coming.
Now the spring is coming, yeah.
But literally, I swear to God, I haven't been to the doctor for 1 year.
I'm happy to hear that.
It's unbelievably changed my health. And since I left my corporate and started to work on my own full time, I was like, yeah, some months are not as good as I wanted financially. And sometimes I'm like struggling to find new projects to keep me busy as I want to be. But the health I got is like unbelievable. I'm like, I cannot be happier. It paid me in this sense so well. And I'm like, what else I can ask for? Like, I get enough I'm financially okay. Some months really good. Some months are, it's only 1 year.
It's only 1 year and you already made it
just
so far.
Starting. Yeah, I think I'm just starting, and I'm like,
okay.
So yeah.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. And then I find you here in this tech event hub space. How did you ended up here?
Okay, so that's another thing. I saw this, and as I lived in Sweden, I kind of understood that this space is gonna be something Scandinavian. I was like, that's either Swedish or Norwegian, but it looks very
Very Scandinavian.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is cool. Then I checked on the internet what they do and the opening hours and things like that. And then they did this event in the morning. And I was like, oh, maybe they need a photographer.
Mhm.
But slowly started to manifest like, oh my God, this is the perfect location because I love sunrises and I'm like quite a lot by the sea.
And
like,
for
at
the one
beach.
who is listening, so Norrskend opened up in Barcelona in autumn. I remember, yes, it was
Official
something.
opening was just recently, but yeah,
Potentially, yes. But I also had a visit to see the building, and it's located, I guess, in the prime location in Barcelona, facing the sea, the palm trees. And yeah, for the ones, if you ever see this video we're recording, so cheers, you can see it's just incredible place, and it gathers impact startups to work under one roof and kind of helps to build the ecosystem here in Barcelona, which is thriving. So yeah, going back, so you saw that it's potentially in Scandinavian and like that could be interesting.
Exactly. So I was like, what is that about? And I literally manifested it, I think. Most likely, I think I manifested it. So I was passing by, I Googled a bit what they do and what is that about and so on and so forth. And I was like, okay, I need to talk to those people if they ever need photos because this is something new and it's going to be big. And I love the location. I was like, I want to be here often.
Amazing.
Which I am doing now. Like, I'm here. This is where I met you. This is amazing. So yeah, so I started to, I sent an email or Instagram message. I don't remember now. And they invited me to take some pictures.
Here we go.
On an event. And I'm here quite often now, working with them.
Beautiful.
Very happy about it.
And I already saw Dami, by the way, in 2 events in a row. So she's definitely hanging out here all the time. But I think it's important to say, you mentioned manifestation, visualization, which I'm a big fan of. But I think it's important to highlight what you also did. You made an action. You reached out, right?
Yeah.
So I think both of them goes hand in hand. Like we can reach with manifestation our subconscious mind and really like put that energy out there, but without an action that we perform, nothing gonna happen.
No. So this is my biggest lesson learned since I started to take photos and wanted to, since I decided I'm gonna be a photographer. It's communicating and putting myself outside. So being visible, being seen, being heard. So talking to people, saying, "Oh, hi, I'm a photographer," or posting something on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on your website, and communicating and letting the world know what you want and who you are. So
amazing.
A part of the manifestation, obviously, I had to
show
myself that I was not just passing by.
Yeah,
I wanted to know them and I wanted to work with them. The same with all the rest of the projects I'm working with. It's kind of both manifestation
and action.
And action.
How does it feel right now when you say I'm a photographer? Are you fully owning the word now?
Yes, I think this year made me fully own the title.
That's great.
I'm very happy, and I'm very proud, and I really want to celebrate this month, the first year. And yeah,
good. What a timing! Yeah. And where do you see yourself as a photographer growing right now? Do you have some kind of specific spaces where you see progressing further?
Well, honestly, as a photographer, I can tell you, it's very complicated to plan. I'm constantly looking for new projects to work with and new cool hubs or new cool places, companies, brands, or whatever to work with. And I didn't plan this where I am now. Like last year, we would have met last year in March. I was totally different and I didn't know what I really want. And it all came out pretty well. So I'm now leaving a lot of space and time for things to happen and come to me. I'm only constantly chasing and putting everything like on the list, what I want to do and what I want to be exactly. Because sometimes the universe sends me signs and sends me things and places and people. And I end up in incredible, working with incredible projects. So I didn't even think much about it. Okay. That was a very busy month, February, so I didn't have time to think a lot about it.
Yeah, I think things happen when you're open, and it's okay not to sometimes have time to think or not to have a clear answer. So it's just the curiosity. So yeah, if you're open, things happen.
Exactly.
So what would be your kind of thought or advice for someone who is seeking for a change and kind of wants to seek their dreams but are still afraid or have an imposter syndrome? And it doesn't matter if it's in tech, if it's in art or somewhere, or just opening up the cafe.
Very good question. So out of my experience, I can say that you will never be ready. And I was not ready to
Nobody's ready.
leave everything and start something new. You just have to try. Go and try.
Yeah, I think
And
yeah.
communicate. That, as I mentioned before, communicate and do.
Communicate and do.
Yeah.
Amazing. Totally. No, but
Very simple.
I think you're never ready for a change, and that's why it's so scary. And that's why you also need that change, perhaps.
Yeah.
If you want to move forward and to grow. So my changes also were always happening when I was too much in the comfort zone and like to get out into this discomfort, but then it's so rewarding. One more thing. So on this podcast, we have this kind of tradition that to ask the listeners, the audience, some kind of question that everyone can ponder through the day, something to think about. Do you have anything you would like to put it out there that listeners could think through the day?
Maybe out of what I did, my career, just to understand what you want to do and what makes you happy, and what you want to do from early morning and until late evening, and think if you could develop it to your full-time job. The question would be who you really want to be in this life, because it's never too late, so you can change it. And I'm like, now I'm a photographer, but who knows who I decide to be in, like when I'm in my 50s, and maybe I'm gonna change. So
You never know.
who you wanna be today, and trying to find some ways to do something to get closer to that person who you wanna be.
Amazing. Who you want to be today. Thank you, Domi, for joining Perception Paradox. It was really great to get to know you better, to have you here, and for you to share your inspiring story.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. On this special month, special occasion,
special day,
very
special everything.
Special everything.
And Domi, by the way, today also brought the cake to the office where I'm co-working as well. So it's a very special day.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you everyone tuning in to another episode of Perception Paradox. Today we had Domi. Today we celebrate Lithuanian independence and freedom. And yeah, we wish you a good day anywhere you are in the world, and see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.